Welcome to 360 Conversations Black History Month Takeover. I'm Tamu Thomas, founder of the 360 brand. I have collaborated with some formidable women to honour Black women in history and consider what their legacy means in terms of wellness today. I believe that it is our duty to honour the women that have gone before, paved the way and provided sturdy shoulders to lift us higher by exploring how we can alchemize their grit into grace. We start with Jessica Huie MBE. Jessica is a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author and highly sought-after speaker, and I think she's awesome. I hope you enjoy her episode.
Hi, my name is Jessica Huie and I'm a writer and a speaker. I wrote my first book, Purpose, last year, published by Hay House, and I regularly hold masterclasses and retreats helping people to reconnect with their purpose and bravely step into it, whether that's personally or professionally. The woman that I have chosen to honour and celebrate for Black History Month and Tamu's 360 Conversations podcast is Toni Morrison. And I know I'm not going to be alone in selecting Toni Morrison, but I'm sure that we'll have all, varying perspectives on why this incredible human should be celebrated again. So yeah, here we go. For me, I guess first and foremost as a writer, I'm inspired by Toni Morrison. I've been moved by many of her books over the years. But I think it's the Bluest Eye which stands out for me, actually. And it stands out for a number of reasons. First of all, because her skill and talent as a writer is second to none, in my opinion. I'm inspired by how she writes structurally, as well as her use of language. But then to get into the content, it's her lack of apology, and it's her braveness in broaching the topics and the feelings which are beyond raw, and bravely going there, because she understood clearly, back in, it was 1970 when the Bluest Eye was published for the first time, and it wasn't just another tale of black suppression underneath the white ruling classes. It wasn't. It was more than that. It looked at the stories in between. That's a very single story narrative. But actually, what Toni Morrison did through the Bluest Eye is look at this inherited hierarchy of worth, of beauty and worth, based on not just the colour of your skin, but the particular complexion or shade. And I don't recall another writer who was doing that at that time. And I still feel that it's a topic which 50 years on, we still are uncomfortable acknowledging and discussing. And it's a reality. And so Toni Morrison, through the character of Pecola, for those of you who, I know hopefully most of you will have read The Bluest Eye, otherwise get out and read it, because it's necessary. It's necessary reading. We're able to, just to understand that, racism isn't just between black and white. And, you have the mixed race, the mixed heritage, Maureen Peale, with her fair skin, who had also bought into these notions that dark skin was ugly, and less than and uncivilized. And she does it in a way which doesn't demonize any one particular group within the book. We get fairly 360 sort of insights into the characters and how they've come to maintain that perspective. And I guess as a writer, I find that inspiring because, we all know as human beings that the only way that we can heal anything is to shine a spotlight on those conversations and those feelings that we are often, that they're so much easier to suppress and stamp down and pretend pretend they're not there. But the only way that we can heal is to bring those things to the surface. And I guess in this age of diversity and inclusion, which has become, such a topic of conversation over the last couple of years, in the workforce, for example, we often hear of a safe space to have difficult conversations. But I think what's really required is a brave space to have conversations, because actually courage is required to air that which is uncomfortable and that which is painful and that which is often not ours. It's inherited from generations before us and generations before them, and therefore it's entrenched not just in us but in the belief systems of the society that we exist in. So it's complex. And but art which is able to express is powerful and has the ability, as we saw through the Bluest Eye and through Toni Morrison's broader body of work. She won the Nobel Prize and a number of accolades and awards through not just providing art which entertained, but actually shifting perspectives. And if you consider that the sort of majority literature reading West, the topics covered in her work would have been really brand new to them. So to be able to shed light on ignorance and educate and somehow shift perceptions through art is incredible. So sort of takes Toni Morrison for me beyond just a prolific writer into one of the most important beings of our time. And not only did she didn't stop with her own work. There was a period of her life where she lived on a houseboat in the Hudson River and worked with Random House and was actually, right at the front, really opening the doors to other African-American writers so that their work could be published through Random House. And, for me, that's just what it's all about. If we aren't, utilising our voice to say that which must be said and utilising our platform to, improve, progress, the situation and the world in which we live in, then what are we doing, really? So the other reason I love Toni Morrison is that she, despite her, her work, the irony is that her work ended up, the Bluest Eye specifically, ended up on all sorts of most controversial lists, and there were numerous attempts to ban the book from being available in libraries and schools because of the content, not just the issues of race, but the some of the raw topics which are broached in the book, the violence, the sexual abuse, and yet on the other hand, she was celebrated as a Nobel Prize winner. So that really says something about us as humans, I think. But anyway, she refused to be categorised and rebuffed the title of a feminist, despite the strong female characters which often show up in her work. And I admire that, because there is this kind of desire that we have to want to claim people and label them and box them. And I really relate to that desire to not be labelled, you know. I love that she said she wasn't a feminist. She stood for equality, and I relate to that. I resonate with that. I also stand for equality of all people, but I don't need the title of feminist, because actually, for me, all labels do is confine us, and I'm not interested in belonging to any group which comes with conditions. And I think that is what labels do, and that doesn't take away from my values. I don't need to be branded as any particular group in order to uphold that which I stand for. But I know that takes courage to say, actually, I belong to me. I don't need to belong to your feminist group or to your Marxist group or to your anything group. I'll let my art and my work speak for myself. I think that's real power and real sort of liberation of spirit, and those are things that I aspire to. Just thinking, actually, there was a period in my life where I, you know, some of you will know that I ran colourblind cards at a multicultural greeting card company, which I started in 2006. Because I couldn't find a card with a brown-skinned princess on, and for my little girl, and so I decided to do it myself. And the cards were all had photographic images of children and adults on them, and then captions or quotes. And one of my favourite cards was a card that had a photograph of a beautiful little girl, family friend of ours, kind of just dancing, doing her thing, free. She's about 5 at the time. And it was a Toni Morrison quote which said, I see your life as artful, just ready and willing for you to make it art. And I guess that's Toni Morrison. She did just that. That's what she said, and that's what she did. She used her work to, go beyond the realms of art and contribute in a way which I think will continue to impact us, and certainly inspires me to speak my truth and not be afraid to, you know, express all that is raw and uncomfortable, because it's only in going into those caves that we're able to heal. And just as the Bluest Eye illustrates so beautifully, it's not just about our own healing, it's about the healing that we gift every generation that follows us, by doing our own self-work first and foremost, and leaving no stone unturned within that process. So honouring Toni Morrison, honouring 360 Conversations. Big love, Jessica.